Welcome to this explainer, where we are going to completely change how you view your own emotional stability. I mean, think about it. If you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by a crazy class load, a sudden breakup, or just, the chaotic noise of everyday life, you probably thought you just needed to toughen up, right? Well, what if the secret to emotional balance isn't actually inside you at all? Today, we're diving into exactly what good friends do to your brain and how they literally change your body's physical response to stress. So, let's start here. You probably think that when you're stressed out or anxious, it's totally a solo burden, don't you? Most of us are taught from a super young age that our emotions are like a sealed container. We genuinely believe that if we feel anxious, we have to fix it completely by ourselves, using pure willpower. We isolate, we brace ourselves, and we try to just logically think our way out of a panic. But science actually shows that this picture is completely incomplete. Instead, I want you to ditch the sealed container idea. Picture yourself as a boat. Sure, the boat has its own shape and integrity, but the waves, the wind, and the nearby ships, they all completely dictate how steady that boat actually feels. Now, some of those waves definitely come from inside you, like, how much sleep you got or how hungry you are. But a massive part of that water is made up of other people. Your friends are the water. Emotional stability isn't just some private solo trait. It's a direct outcome of the relationships and the regulation happening right between you and the people around you. This right here leads us to a massive paradigm shift. It literally flips our standard logic upside down. The old view tells us, okay, I need to calm myself down first, and then I can go hang out with my friends. But look at the new view. Often, the biological order is actually reversed. It's more like I connect with someone safe, and then my body becomes calm enough to regulate itself. Think about a baby, right? They don't calm down through sheer willpower. They calm down when they're held by a trusted adult. And honestly, as adults, we're really no different in principle. We're just a whole lot better at hiding it. Your body very often needs an external cue of safety before it can return to balance. To really understand why this happens, let's look at the biology. Your nervous system is basically the ultimate control center. It has two main modes: protection mode, where you brace for a threat, and recovery mode, where you can actually rest and think clearly. And you can't just flip a switch between these modes using logic. Your nervous system is exactly like a kitchen smoke detector. If you burn some toast, that alarm blares just as loudly as if the whole house were on fire. It just reacts to signs of danger. That is exactly why you can intellectually know that a bad text message isn't life-threatening, but your heart is still pounding out of your chest. A safe friend acts like a hand reaching up to hit the reset button on that smoke detector, sending a physical signal that says, wait, check again, we're safe. And because we humans are hardwired to constantly read each other's tone, posture, and facial expressions, safety is actually contagious. Imagine standing near a roaring campfire on a freezing cold night. You aren't producing the heat yourself, but just by standing near the fire, your whole experience of the cold changes. You get to warm up anyway. A calm friend is literally that campfire. You can borrow their calm. Your breathing slows down to match theirs, your muscles unclench, and that internal alarm just loses its force. Moving into Section 3, the 3 pillars of stability and how friendship actually works on your brain. So, how exactly do our friends change our internal temperature and lower the danger level of a problem? Well, before we list the 3 pillars, imagine lugging a heavy couch up a flight of stairs completely by yourself. It feels basically impossible, right? Your body treats it like an absolute crisis. But then, a friend grabs the other end. Now, the couch didn't magically lose weight. The object is exactly the same, but your relationship to its weight completely changes. Stress works the exact same way. When your nervous system isn't forced to carry the entire meaning of an event all by itself, the perceived danger shrinks. This whole idea breaks down into 3 distinct mechanisms of action. First up, we have support. This is the friend grabbing the other end of the couch. It shares the weight, so you genuinely feel, okay, I don't carry this alone. Next is belonging. When you mess up, shame naturally makes you wonder if you're going to be cast out. Belonging is that steady floor beneath your feet that says, hey, you still have a place here, you're human, and that is enough. And finally, perspective. When we panic, our minds tend to zoom way in and treat one single mistake like it's the end of the world. A friend widens that interpretation. They act as a second mirror, showing you an angle you couldn't see, which shifts the feeling to, all right, this problem is bigger, softer, and way more manageable than I thought. Let's look at how this builds into some real-world application. The very next time your emotions spiral, maybe it's over a bad grade, a really weird interaction, or just feeling left out of a group plan, stop and ask yourself these 3 questions. Am I undersupported right now? Do I just need to feel belonging rather than getting a bunch of advice? Or is my mind telling a massive catastrophic story that goes way beyond the actual facts? When you can actually name what your nervous system needs, you turn this blurry, overwhelming cloud of panic into a highly specific, fixable problem. And that brings us to Section 4, Building Wise Reliance, the bridge, not the destination. Now, it is incredibly important to understand the nuance here. If we only ever relied on others to regulate our emotions, we'd never really develop our own internal strength. What we want to develop is what the source material calls wise reliance, rather than total dependence. Think of friendship like a really sturdy bridge over rough water. When the waves are way too high and your boat is rocking, a friend is the bridge that helps you cross safely. They lower the emotional temperature and they reduce your isolation. But you can't build a house and live on the bridge forever. They can help you cross, but they simply cannot walk every single mile of your life for you. Eventually, you do have to step off the bridge and onto the solid land of your own personal growth and judgment. So, the absolutely crucial point here is perfectly captured in this final quote. Friends do not replace personal resilience. They help create the conditions where resilience becomes easier to access. They are a stabilizer, not a substitute for your whole self. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to carry with you today. Now that you know your nervous system actively relies on the people around you to feel safe, who are the people in your life acting as your bridge? And how will you use them to create the right conditions for your own resilience today?